at the moment in F2, but obviously that's taken by Lando Norris. So 41, and it's because obviously if you put it next to each other, it looks a bit like an A and an L, his initials.
Great stuff. Brilliant. Thank you very much for the moment, Ted. There is Oscar Piastri, because his car this session is being driven by Pato O'Ward. Second practice session of the year for him. McLaren's reserve driver, and he was second in the 2025 NTT IndyCar Series for Arrow McLaren. So Oscar watching this one from the sidelines. There are 9 rookies in this session, or 9 junior drivers, and but for someone like Oscar who's going for the championship, just how much of a disadvantage is it, or is it a disadvantage, because they all have to sit out some FP1 sessions now?
Yeah, they do. So it all equalizes, doesn't it, throughout the season? But like I said, and this proves that because this is a circuit that we're all familiar with, drivers included, particularly drivers like Oscar Piastri, you're more willing to give up a dusty FP1 session at this track than you would be maybe on another track like Monaco, for example, or a track where you really need to bed yourself in. Here, it's a bit of a different situation, and it's a great track for the rookies as well. You've got a lot of runoff areas here, so if you were to make the odd mistake here and there, the chances are you won't end up in the barriers. I've probably cursed it now, but it is a circuit which is a safer one for the rookies to get up to speed. And we saw, well, Isaac Hadjar, this man in the Red Bull here last year, trying it out for his run in FP1 and spun in turn 6, and we all thought, oh, that's not a good sign of things to come, surely. But look at what he's gone on to achieve, and he's going to be this man that we see on screen, his man's teammate next year because of it.
Indeed, and when they make the decision, obviously, to miss out on the sessions, it would have been earlier in the season, and the choices would have been made. So maybe when it comes down to it, and Oscar gets in Abu Dhabi and thinks, oh, I haven't got my FP1 session, it has a bit more of an impact than I guess you would have thought originally. But you're right. So Isaac Hadjar's done a brilliant job this year. He's got the seat. He's got the Red Bull seat. He told us yesterday that he found out after Qatar race week, which is also when Yuki Tsunoda unfortunately found out that he was stepping aside, and he'll be their reserve driver next year.
You see the list, the long list that you mentioned there, Rachel, of the rookie drivers taking part in this FP1 session, and Iwasa making his way, he's one of them, making his way through the hotel section now of turn 13 and 14, taking it nice and easily. You don't want to be a hero too early on in this session. You want to be there right at the end. And this is an hour to go, so build up slowly. And I love watching the rookies out there, because you get to see their different approaches. Who is willing to take more of a risk, who uses the full width of the circuit. And that's what these cars need, these big, wide cars, heavy cars. You need to, when you see the pros out there, they'll use every centimetre of the circuit that's available, because that's what these cars demand. And that's one thing to be looking out for drivers like Lindblad, another of the rookies here. I just see, like, before a corner entry, see where he places his car. Does he go right to the white line? Yes, he does. And maybe you'll see even using a little bit of red and white curb before they turn into turn 5 later on. But it's those kind of telltale signs that I can read into, because that's what I'm used to seeing like I said, the pro drivers out there that are more in tune with the circuit and their own cars.
Well, watching how Arvid Libag gets along is Laurent Mekies. He's on the pit wall. He's one of 2 pit bosses we have for you this weekend. Both bosses of the protagonist teams. You can see Oscar Piastri there, and he is in Zach Brown's seat, but Zach is there as well, and Zach will be chatting to us, as will Laurent, across the weekend. So we're very glad to have both of them with us this weekend on Sky F1, keeping a close eye on these juniors, but also, God, this championship. And I mean, that press conference yesterday that I sat in was one of the best attended I've ever sat in, and also just the atmosphere, the vibe. I mean, the drivers were the most relaxed people in the room.
And I believe them when they said that I haven't felt tense until this moment now, when I've been asked all these questions from you lot, meaning the media, and then you could see, like, you put some bit more on edge. But yeah, you've got to try and convince yourself as the driver, as an athlete, that it's the same drill as usual. Just go at it, do your job like usual, and you'll be fine, because usually you are. But things can get the better of you when you feel tense, when you want to do the best job possible, because now it really matters. That's sometimes, you know, the moment where you see, if you say, like, take the Olympics for an example, that last long jump or that last pole vault or the 100-meter sprint. It's so easy to make an elementary mistake.
Even though you've done it so many times and you know it so
Yeah.
well. Max Verstappen now going quickest through Sector 1 and Sector 2 as we watch him in the Red Bull. You just saw Arvid Lindblad's dad watching on as well. Arvid's two wins, I should say, this season. He's 6th in the standings right now, but he has his seat secured in Formula 1 for next year. Coming up along against some traffic, though, this is going to be a bit of an issue this session. Everyone is getting out. That's Keon Shields in the Aston Martin just ahead of him there.
Yeah, so that's what Max was backing out of, just that final corner, just catching the Aston Martin. What we're looking at here with Franco Colapinto, X in the final corner, and not enough temperature in those medium tyres. And it's very easily done, you know. You get on power, you want to straighten the car up as early as possible, get on the power as early as possible, but it's just a sign that the tyre wasn't quite ready for... Oh, and you've got Paul Aaron, another rookie driver here, who, yep, oh, doesn't... Whatever you can do, Franco, I can do it more extreme.
He's 3rd in F2 in 2024. This is his 5th FP1 outing of the season as Isaac Hadjar.
Yeah, just tripping over
the Williams.
Well, I don't know which Williams that was,
Either
but
Luke Browning or it'll be Carlos Sainz.
yeah, it's Luke Browning. So yeah, so Isaac.
Hadjar with you now.
Yep, didn't hear that.
We've got poor radio static here.
Sorry, the radio is not good. I couldn't hear you.
That's a common problem here around the hotel. They have issues with the radio, and often that's where they call the pit calls. When they say box, box, it's often at that point on the track when they make them. So they're going to bear that in mind this weekend.
So, I mean, when I was driving in Formula 1, and particularly as a test driver, the rookies out there would have a green flashing light on the back of the car. So
Like
it would
an L plate.
Exactly, it is, yeah, like an L plate. So the drivers like Hadjar catching up, he doesn't know who's in that car when it goes into turn 12. We didn't know until we saw the helmet design or the roll hoop camera. So you can't see that, obviously, when you're the car behind. So maybe give Hadjar benefit of the doubt there. He could have read the body language of the car and probably deduced the fact that it was a rookie.
You'd have been able to, would you?
Do you pick up the body language of a car? Yeah, I think you'd have to. But I give him benefit of the doubt that he didn't know who was driving it. But still, it's a kind of reaction that I feel is unnecessary from Isaac. Very early on an FP1 session, you know you're sharing the circuit with 9 rookie drivers. These things might happen.
Arthur Leclerc here, Charles Leclerc's brother. It's a repeat of last year when they made F1 history 12 months ago. The first time we've had 2 brothers featuring as teammates as he is out on track. That must be an incredibly special moment for both of them and their family, of course. Ted's down in the pit lane. Ted, what have you seen?
Yes, Leclerc and Leclerc. Good name for a law firm. But yeah, he's actually just doing some tyre work and basic setup work, is Arthur Leclerc. Sorry, Arthur Leclerc. But yeah, important work going on there. Lewis Hamilton watching from the motorhome. I've seen some Flovis paint on the McLaren of Lando Norris, and I'm finding this quite interesting. It's the same wing as they had in Qatar, but with a little bit more angle, and so they just need to figure out how that's working. And for me, really, it's, you know, whether Oscar Piastri tries to go on the offensive, to use the inherent pace of this McLaren to try and dominate the weekend, as he did up until lap 7 in Qatar. Really, that's what I'm looking out for this setup. Obviously, Lando just needs the podium. I think you can see the Flovis on the back of the rear wing there.
Yes, we could, yeah.
So obviously, Lando just needs the podium. Maybe it's a simpler task, but for Oscar, I'm just watching out for that. I'm really interested to see if he can do it. Whether this having one less practice session, Rach, Ant, will hurt that. Don't think it will, but it's something to consider for Oscar.
And they said yesterday in the press conference, Ted, that they share all their data. They joked about putting up a cardboard divide so they couldn't see each other, all their information, but they're not. They share everything. Ted, I also wanted to go and have a look and just check out the Red Bull rear wings, because there were some reports yesterday that they've changed the rear wing from the one they ran in Qatar. So we'll be interested to see what they've done coming into this weekend, because as Ant said, Max could well feature up there and challenge them. Lando has gone quickest now overall. On the medium tyres, though, as the Red Bull and Mercedes are out on the hard tyres, as Max goes 3rd quickest, still on the hard tyre.
Pato O'Ward on the soft tyre and looking pretty racy through that final sector of the circuit. So let's see what this time can be as he ventures through the final corner. We've seen many cars slide around and goes second fastest to the championship leader.
Yeah, sector 2, I cannot push the braking.
Why? Question?
You know why.
Okay.
Okay, and decipher.
Wow, that's okay. I'm going to have a think about that one. Limitation of, well, it's obviously a known problem within the team.
They have had issues with brakes. I've heard this before with Williams. I need to go back through some old notes, but I've definitely heard this before.
Can't push the braking, and particularly said sector 2, wasn't it? So that's the hairpin that, well, turn 6 and 7. Yeah, heavy braking. That's the heavy braking of turn 6 and 7, and that's at the beginning of, or close to the beginning of sector 2. So yeah, can't push the brake in there. That's an interesting one. We'll have to keep an ear out for that one through the remainder of the weekend. But seems to be a known problem within the team anyway.
Does seem like it. It definitely rings a bell with me. This is Kean Shields, who's in the Aston Martin. Aston running rookies in both, or juniors in both their cars today. Jack Crawford's in the other one for his second FP1 appearance of the season. He's Aston Martin's third driver. Kean did Formula 3 last year. He's in Formula 2 this year. He's done 500 kilometres of private testing as well in preparation for this. And some of these guys will be featuring in the post-Abu Dhabi race weekend test, the tyre test as well, that comes after this weekend. So Luke Browning in the Williams garage there, having done a few laps for him.
Yeah, currently 4th in the F2 Championship, and yeah, a strong contender all season long, and a great driver is Luke Browning. So let's see, hopefully he can get back into the car soon and continue the work, but strange to see him out of the car with 48 minutes still remaining. But let's see what Sainz can do. So he's in sector 2 now. A personal best middle sector, not a heavy braking corner, is turn 9. It's a long corner, that one. Lovely to drive, and you need a car that's good in obviously medium speed corners. And then you come to this really tight fiddly section of turn 12, 13, off camber through 14, get close to the wall on the exit, or the barrier on the exit of 14, and then in qualifying we'll be flat out through that corner there, 15. Brake in a straight line as you can, feed it through the final corner of 16 as you come back onto the start-finish straight. He goes fastest for now on the hard tyres, the track improving rapidly all the time, but certainly looked comfortable in all the braking zones that I could see, but it's a very different read under his left foot on the brake pedal, I think, is what he's finding.
If you want to have a closer look at how that lap was for Carlos in the car, we'll just watch a quick replay here.
Yeah, so handful of lock going into that left-hand corner. You see the punishment the car takes over the serrated curbs. Exed in turn 5 onto that back straight. You want to use all of that curb.
So, yeah, as I was saying, if you want to go on board with any of the drivers, you can do that. Sky Sports F1 and Now viewers, jump on board with any of the 20 drivers in this session. You can listen in on their team radio as well. Get started. All you need to do is download the Sky Sports app to your phone or tablet device. And you can do that by scanning the QR code that is on your screen right now. Once there, log in with your Sky ID. Head to the Sky Sports F1 channel and choose your driver. Sky Glass, Sky Q and Sky Stream customers, you can also experience this via the interactive button on your remote control. That is the onboard of the Ferrari right now.
Yeah, that's Leclerc. Arthur Leclerc, I should say.
This is now Charles.
Yeah, so he tackles that turn 30. Such an awkward corner. You want to go too much onto this serrated curve on the exit there of 13, because it can lose the rear stability. Here's that turn 15 I talked about, that's almost flat on a normal lap in sort of race trim, as we are now on the hard tyres. And he finishes the lap. He's P6, personal best of a 125. And I'm intrigued to see how Ferrari go this weekend, because they had a bit of a miserable time, didn't they, in Qatar? The car just lacked the speed. Lewis didn't look comfortable in it. Lots of mistakes from the drivers creeping in, so hopefully... Oh, that's a different...
This is the walk on top of Ferrari World, I think, if I'm right in thinking. This is Ferrari World, which is the theme park just by the track. As you can see there, the roller coaster in there is incredible.
You have to pay to do that?
Yeah. Wouldn't you do it? It's like walking the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's fantastic. Would love to do that. You could probably blag it, Ant, knowing you. No, what you were saying. What were you saying just before that?
Oh no, well, I'm not doing that after I've just said they had a miserable weekend in Qatar. I don't think I have an invite.
Yes. Charles said to me that there was 0 performance in the car on Saturday, and then on Sunday I said, "Did you find any more?" And he said, "No, didn't find any performance."
Yeah, the problem with that circuit and that race for Ferrari is that then they were forever in traffic, and I think everybody at one point, apart from the top 3 or 4, were stuck behind the Alonso train in turbulent air, and you couldn't get a proper read on your car. I think once George Russell was freed of that moment during the race, he then picked up 1.5 seconds from one lap to the next. That's
just
how much,
yeah,
what that turbulent air was doing. It'll be less of a problem here in the Yas Marina circuit, and we will therefore see a chance of overtaking. A chance of overtaking. Yes.
A chance. Lando Norris, of course, leading the championship right now. I mean, it is very complicated, the permutations. We mentioned it before. We gave you the QR code before. We just go to the Sky Sports website if you want to see exactly who can win it and how. But for Lando, it is quite simple. If he finishes first, second or third, he will win the title. Max has a chance to win it as well. All the permutations are on the website for you. But he's gone second quickest now on the hard tyre, Max Verstappen. You're right. I think that Red Bull will have some pace this weekend. What's happened to Ollie Behrman?
Wow, sparking around and hitting the ground through that section of the circuit. That's the turn 2, 3 area that I spoke about. So you see the new surface that's gone down, so that darker surface, then it goes back to the lighter grey. Oh, and the area of the track that I thought would be smoother and therefore running the cars lower seems to have a lot of scrape marks there. Do you see all the scrape marks from the resin plank doing its thing, and those titanium skid blocks as well, sparking away? So maybe not. Back to the drawing board, I think, for the team setups on that one.
Carlos starting another lap, and still waiting, actually. Luke Brandon's still in the garage. Ted's down in the pit lane for us. Ted, what have you got?
They're changing the radio. In fact, they're changing all bits of the radio. There are different wires going in. He's putting his earplugs back in. They're the only things that are still the same part. The helmet's about to go in as well. So the radio technician down here at Williams has been told by the engineers, look, I know it's patchy, and it can be patchy for all drivers, but it is important that we're able to tell Luke, particularly at all times, you know, what's going on around him and what we need him to do. So that's why they've taken time out of his program to actually get this radio issue fixed, hopefully for them, and he'll be out soon.
All right, thank you very much, Ted. For the moment, we did mention it can be tricky here through part of the tracks. Let's see if that helps them with the radio communications for him. Carlos improving on his own time.
Yeah, and that's normal. Drivers getting back into the groove at the circuit, forever rapidly improving as well. We have got the F2 Championship here as well this weekend, and they'll help to clear the circuit, but the circuit responds best when you put your own rubber down. And the Pirelli specific F1 Pirelli rubber that they're on starts to fill in the tiny holes within the surface, and once the rubber reacts to the rubber on that track, that's when the lap time, that's when it sticks.
You do get a difference, don't you, between the sessions, as we mentioned before, FP1 and FP3, and then when you get to qualifying in the race. So they have to allow for the changes in the tyre and car behaviour and the different temperatures.
Looking at George Russell here, kicks out the rear end through turn 12, and can they be a factor this weekend? A fly in the ointment for the 3 drivers battling it out for the World Championship. What can Mercedes do? I expect Kimi Antonelli to be pretty quick here as well. He's done quite a few TPC days around this track. He knows it well. George obviously flies around here.
All right, I lost power. Okay, stand by.
Oh dear.
We have a leak, hydraulic leak.
Yeah, going down towards turn 6 at the moment, Ollie Behrman, and crawling along. See if he can get it back to the pits or
on the text again. So on the text I saw from his radio, from the engineer, saying we have a leak, but I'm pretty sure the audio, I heard him say hydraulic leak, which would be why he's still in 4th gear heading down the straight. I want to ride back on board and see if he's changing gear or not. That's usually a telltale sign that you've lost hydraulic. Oh, look, and if by magic we... Oh, no,
down
so he
3.
is. Yeah, so he's changing gears, so maybe not hydraulic leak. You can sometimes lose power steering as well, because the same system controls the hydraulic power steering. But the fact he's changing gears, I'd say, is not hydraulics.
Half a lap to go to get round back into the pits, if that's what he's going to do. Nico Hülkenberg's gone quickest on the medium tyre. They pop up randomly sometimes, don't they, Sauber?
Well, it's been less and less random, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In the latter half of the year, they've really found some pace, and I'm loving the end of this rule set of these cars, because in their maturity, it has seen and delivered what we had all hoped, and that all cars have started to converge.
Yep.
Just before we go changing rapidly the regs for next year.
We're used to it.
But I think a complication, an unwanted byproduct of that convergence is that overtaking becomes incredibly hard. And the more downforce that the cars pick up, the more turbulence they create. And I think that's what we're seeing, or that's what we saw in Qatar. It was the epitome, really, of a car in its latter stages of development. It usually happens. So, yeah, we've got next year's reset, in a way, to look forward to, at least for that.
Sauber just 5 points behind Haas right now, really trying to push for that 8th place. They could even get to 7th place as well, because Aston Martin are just 12 points ahead of them in 7th right now. That midfield is really tight. Lots to play for them this weekend.
Look at that for a great corner, turn 9. I'm so pleased they made the modifications to this track and took away that fiddly section, because you got that section here, don't forget, in the final sector of 12, 13 that we're in now. This is the slow, technical part of the track where the drivers really got to feel the car under them, sliding around and twitching. But this track always missed a few high-speed corners, and that's exactly what turn 9 gives you.
As Gabby Bortoletto goes top of the times in the other Sauber, this time on the hard tyre, looking good for them. Ted is down at Haas. Ted, what can you tell us about Ollie?
Well, it's going to be a bit... Oh, team radio.
Team radio.
Yeah, grip just feels really bad. For the first part of the lap, I felt like I'm just bleeding massive lap time because I'm on ice.
Go ahead, Ted.
Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's going to take a bit of time. We do still think it was hydraulic, because they had an issue. He was kind of coming in to the box quite quickly, and then the front jackman actually moved out of the way because he wasn't sure whether all the systems were going to push the car on or whether Ollie was going to brake in time. In the end, Ollie did brake in time, so obviously the brake system is okay. But yeah, engine cover is coming off. I'm expecting to see Ollie hop out of the car. So all of the setup work that will need to be done is currently still being done by Rio Hirakawa, who is in the other Haas for this session. Esteban looking on.
Thanks, Ted. Yes, Rio is indeed in the other car. Oof.
Yeah, Arthur Leclerc just getting all crossed up through turn 12. He had some cars in front of him. I think that's what called him out. At least visually, it was it caused a bit of disturbance. And what's George Russell up to?
So Owasa at 3 seconds.
I think that is O-Ward, not Owasa.
Sorry, O-Ward, yeah.
Easy mistake.
Brilliant.
Listen, we would all do it on the timing screens, but it's down to 3 letters.
It's the capacity of some of these drivers. It just astounds me.
It's amazing, isn't
Yeah.
it? The spare capacity they have when they're driving these tracks like this.
So not only does he know all the names of the rookie drivers that are out there with him, but he's also correcting his engineer and getting it wrong whilst travelling along, making changes on the steering wheel. And
I mean, the conversations we had in the office this morning, we were struggling to get it all right. Just say, Rio Hirakawa, you're looking at now on screen. This is his 5th outing this season, because the first one was for another team. Can you remember who it was?
Sorry, you said I had our producer chatting. What did you say?
Rio's
just biding my time here. Just biding my.
Rio's 5th outing this season. His 4th for Haas. His first was for a different team earlier in the season before he moved. Which race?
Well, I'm going to take a punt on Suzuka.
Correct. Who was telling you in your ear?
No
I
one.
can tell someone was telling you in your ear.
No, honestly, no one. It's just, it didn't take a rocket scientist to work that out. I knew it was Alpine, but I didn't know which track.
Thanks. Right, Isaac Hadjar has gone fastest in the Racing Bulls. He quite likes that car actually as well. I know he was moving up to the Red Bull, but he said it's the right time and I'm the right person for it, because it's a new set of regulations. It's a baseline to work from.
I see where he's coming from. I understand his logic on that one. But he has looked very much at home in the Racing Bulls car. I think it's a very benign car to drive. It seems, I mean, not easy, but it's easier than some. It seems to work. It has a wide operating window, and I wouldn't describe it as a very twitchy car to drive. it's not on a knife edge, so you may be giving up a slight amount of performance compared to ultimately what the Red Bull car can do, but we've seen so many times that...
So just explain the polar... Oh, team radio, 1 second.
Passing turn 6, 7. It's a bit annoying.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one thing about these cars, these ground effects cars that the drivers are definitely not going to miss next year. You're going to be seeing higher ride heights, less ground effects, and therefore more rake in the cars as well, more akin to what we saw in 2021, that kind of era.
So going back to the Red Bull then, if the Racing Bulls is benign, tell us the characteristics of the Red Bull that he's going to find when he gets there.
Well, I mean, basing it on these cars right now, it would be that car I described with the twitchy nature, and that's why drivers like Tsunoda have struggled to, and Lawson have really struggled to adapt their style to put trust in the car when it feels like that, not knowing when you're on the knife edge of, say, for those of you that ski out there, for example, or snowboard, it's the same kind of thing. You're teetering right on the edge of that plank, of that board.
Of the blade.
And, or the blade. Yeah. And within just a blink of an eye, it can just fall over from under you and you're on your face. And it's the same thing. Yeah, so it's the same... It's the same feeling inside one of these cars when it feels like that. You've got the grip, you haven't got the grip. It's a digital process, and that's something that Max can feel
so well. Yeah,
he can teeter right on the edge of that, just like I say his name, there he is on screen, and he can just drive around it. He's used to the car feeling like that.
He has an incredible feel throughout the car, whether it's on the brakes, whether it's on the throttle. He has an incredible feel.
And he's smooth. And I feel like that's why he's better off on circuits like this. I mean, nobody's perfect, and I feel like street circuits they don't lend themselves to his style. His natural style is very smooth, and sometimes, not all the time on street tracks, but sometimes you have to take the car by the scruff of the neck and just to go over the top with your controls to make the car do things. And Max doesn't really, he's not that kind of driver. He's got that inherent feel of the car being a very delicate feel for where that car starts to snap. And that's what the others can't do. Albon described it as taking over someone's mouse.
And they put it to the highest sensitivity, yeah. I do remember.
Great analogy is Verstappen now setting purple sectors in 1 and 2, and he comes into the 3rd sector now. And again, you just watch the flow of how he flows this car. Look, he's not digitally driving it, he's flowing it from one corner into the next. It is like watching a slalom skier. Yeah. And he's doing that from within the car, and it's hard to see, but from the untrained eye, it's hard to see. But look at that, 7.5 tenths quicker than Hadjar in the Racing Bulls. Teammates for next year.
That's the time then set by Max Verstappen on the soft tyres then. We've had 26 and a bit minutes running so far at Yas Marina. On the title-deciding weekend of this 2024 season, Max tops the times with a 1:24.4. George has got the soft tyres on now as well. Let's see what he can do in the Mercedes.
So you got his throttle trace there on the right-hand side on the halo, and then brakes into turn 12, 70 miles an hour minimum speed, 90 through turn 13. Pick up the throttle, look at the throttle trace, and that's the process I was talking about, how you got to feel that 1,000 horsepower close to under your right foot in those kind of moments. It's a very difficult task to achieve, and goes 2 tenths slower than Verstappen on the same tyre. Good lap by George, and that's kind of where I expect the Mercedes to be versus Verstappen this weekend, around that 2 tenths away. But if they chip away at it, maybe they can get in between some McLarens perhaps, or maybe the McLarens will have the advantage over Verstappen. Who knows? But I do feel like Mercedes can be a threat to some of the front runners this weekend.
They've been up there, George and Kimi now. Kimi towards the back end of this season are really putting in some good performances. You just saw Valtteri Bottas there. I mean, he must be desperate to get some running ahead of his joining Cadillac next year, because he's not allowed to until he's been released by Mercedes, so he can't get out there. Sergio Perez has done some laps in an old car, an old Ferrari car, just to get his head back into it, because you don't want to miss a year's running in Formula One, do you?
No, you really don't. But again, with the very different cars and the feel, and let alone a brand new team finding their feet next year, it's in many ways that reset it goes in your favour, that it's not essential that you're in this current car. It's kind of still
As big of a loss.
It's not as big of a loss, definitely not. And you're with a brand new team, you'd almost prefer not to be at the very first test, because there is a chance that you might not do any running anyway. So if you're the second or third test in, you like to think that, and I've been in this position myself as a driver, you'd like to think that the team is a bit more capable once they're up and running. So for you to benefit more so if you're the driver that's in the car later on.
Liam Lawson watching on. He is, of course, confirmed for next season as well. He will be staying with the Racing Bulls and will be Arvid Lindblad's teammate. So he's watching this session with interest too, as Isaac Hadjar is in the Racing Bull right now.
Yeah, Hadjar's
only on the medium tyre though.
Yeah, on the medium, like you say, but Hadjar's had what a turnaround from that moment in Australia where we all thought, well, we had the moment here where he spun in FP1 in the Red Bull.
This time last year.
This time last year. Then we got to Australia, and he crashed the car even before the start of the race, and it would have been very easy to write him off, wouldn't it, in that moment? But what a bounce back he's had.
You'll be able to see a lovely chat with him and Martin Brundle actually in our coverage this weekend, so stick around for that. Oof, as Hulkenberg's coming across traffic, he's on the soft tyre. Let's see what this Sauber can do. Goes third fastest.
I love how you're always surprised that the Sauber's up there. It's they can do it. They can. They've had many top 10. I don't know exactly how many, but they have had many top 10 appearances.
Make me get my huge notebook out, aren't you, to have a look?
We'll give you time.
Thanks. So Kimi Antonelli's gone third fastest, just behind George Russell, a 10th behind his teammate. And yeah, you're right, and they could be up there in abouts this weekend. Lando has now got the soft tyres on, so we'll be able to see what he's got in his McLaren.
Yeah, he's on a prep lap here, so he's just had his slow out lap. Or was it? Did something happen at turn 1? No. What's happened through turn 2 or 3? Ooh. Wow, that's a rarity, I must say. It does show that maybe there's a tailwind there, or like Arvid Lindblad was saying when we heard his team radio, it feels like ice out there, particularly through the first sector, turns 2, 3. You can't push the car, can't lean on it. That's exactly what Norris was caught out with just then. It's all those little moments you don't want to happen when all you want is that
anything to knock your confidence at all.
This should be the perfect weekend. I just need a podium. That's all I need from this car. I don't need the car snapping on me and almost spinning in turn 2, which is usually a formality to take it flat out. So it goes to show that the track's not quite ready yet. He's pushing again this lap though.
Personal bests in sector 1 and 2 though, but he's still down on Verstappen's time. It's got to be a weird situation to be in, to know that all you need to do is come third, because your instinct is always to win. But then do you take chances on Sunday or do you not?
Look at that, slightly overdriving through the exit of turn 12, pushing the rear of the car, it not responding how he wanted to. But on the second lap, that's the tyres really do start to die off pretty quickly around here, especially in green conditions with the track dusty like it is. He goes second fastest.
And it wasn't a perfect lap, it didn't look like.
It wasn't. So that proves that the car has got it. But don't forget, that's a few minutes later than when Verstappen put his time on the board. So the track has improved a bit. So
what are the differences then when the sun sets later on? What will they be experiencing?
Well, more grip as the temperature starts to drop down. You haven't got the beating sun on the track anymore, and it's quite a dark surface here, and that just absorbs a lot of the heat. So we'll keep an eye on the track temperature. For those of you watching this session into FP2 as well, so it's 32 degrees at the moment, the track temperature. That's the key to remember here, 32 degrees. We'll have to remember it too, because FP2, I'm sure, will be at least 5 degrees cooler, and therefore you get more grip from the tyre. It's as simple as that.
As Max crosses the line.
And actually, he was 2/100ths of a time slower than his personal best as well, on his second or maybe third lap, so absolutely even with that of the McLaren.
That was close.
Little moment for the two Astons out there on track, Ian Shields and Jack Crawford. Another look at this.
Whoa.
Oof.
That was close. Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah, copy that, Jack. Wasn't very good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's... I mean, it's one thing happening one team against another, but when it's your own team and you would like to orchestrate it better...
Okay, you've got Leclerc Jr. at 3 seconds.
I find it quite funny you call him Junior.
I was just about to say that. I mean, I suppose, fair enough. You could call him Arthur, but...
Lots of funny returns of messages from drivers to their engineers today. I like it.
Yuma Iwasa is in the other Racing Bull and recently crowned Super Formula champion, and he ran FP1 in Mexico. Of course, it's his 5th FP1 appearance. He's been in the Red Bull as well in Bahrain and the Racing Bulls in Mexico. Ted, where are you? What are you up to?
I'm at the border between Ferrari and Red Bull. Yes, so is that the Japanese-Irish driver Iwasa that we were talking about? You've got O'Ward, of course, who is Irish-Mexican. Well, he's Mexican, but the name might sort of originate from there. Nice to hear a Scottish voice on the radio, isn't it, Rachel, with Ian Shields?
Very nice.
First time since Paul de Resta, of course.
Yes.
We've had a Scottish driver in F1. And I can tell you what happened to Lindblad. There was a problem on his car that kept him in the garage around the floor section. They needed to change it. Kept him in the garage for 15 minutes or so. The car was on high stands, but he was on a fresh set of soft tyres when he did that run that you've just seen. That's put him P11 at 25.3 as opposed to Verstappen's 24.4.
Great, thank you very much, Ted. We have Scottish voices in the commentary box, just not on microphone. We're looked after very well by a Scot in here as well across the season. Right, Carlos Sainz is back out. We still haven't got the bottom of the brake problem, Ant.
No, and I don't think we will, Rachel. They didn't seem keen to go into detail on that one, and I think it's a team issue, and we have seen, like you say, overheating, particularly the rear brakes. Austria springs to mind, where the car, it set on fire, the rear brakes, and the car was stricken on the grid for a while, and so I think it's been a continuous problem there at Williams, and maybe that gives the driver a different feel under the brake pedal. So a known problem, but obviously not a problem that it is too damaging to lap times.
But turn 8 is one of the heaviest braking points of the season, isn't it, on the F1 calendar?
One of the turn 6 chicane, yeah.
Is it not down at the hairpin?
Turn 8's a flat-out left-hand kink.
Well,
but
yes.
Sorry, I'm only being pedantic.
You are being very pedantic.
But yeah, it's the only thing I can think is that they're at some points when they're not relying on the electric motor to help with the braking, and they're relying more on mechanical brakes. That is a bit of a strange feeling for the driver that they're not able to push. So Behrman being told to box this lap.
I try to kiss you again.
Yeah, that's...
I have to send Ted back down to Haas again to go and have a look. Kimi Antonelli is on the soft tyres. He's already put in a time that's put him P6, just a 10th behind his teammate. Personal best so far in sectors 1 and 2.
Yeah, as expected, Antonelli looking pretty strong on this circuit. And, I mean, his performances after the halfway mark, really, of the championship started to improve. It's what I was hoping to see with a rookie driver, especially such a young driver with such limited experience of the junior categories, that as we see Behrman get back out there again. Yeah, it's what I was hoping to see, what I was expecting from Kimi as well. And you saw those flashes of brilliance earlier in the season, like the pole in the sprint pole in Miami. But then he's really starting to come on strong now as O'Ward goes wide. Pato
O'Ward, and timing actually, because we've got Zach Brown on the pit wall this weekend, and I believe Zach can join us now. Zach, thank you so much on what is an incredibly busy, intense weekend, I'm sure, for joining us today.
Absolutely. Sorry I'm not on pit wall. I got some guy who took my seat from me.
Well, we're happy to look at Oscar, but we're also very happy to hear your voice. We can see you just over his shoulder there as well in the picture. Zach, how is everyone feeling? Just tell us what the mood's like in the garage this weekend.
Yeah, it's good. We're excited. Obviously, a big race. We've had an unbelievable season, and we got 2 horses in the race, and we'll see what happens here.
Zach, so come on then. What's your special guest on the pit wall spotting there? It's always nice to have a racing driver's eyes on the pit wall.
Yeah, no, it's good actually listening to him and how he observes what's going on in the session, the car behavior, the tires. So some good insight for us.
And so when you look around, we've been chatting about the Mercedes potentially being up there this weekend. What are you looking, or who are you looking at as your challengers? Who do you think is going to come up with the pace to challenge you this weekend and perhaps get ahead of you on pole, or at least push you really, really hard?
I think it's the usual suspects, of course. Max, both Mercs, and Ferrari was very good here last year. So I think the usual people that get our attention.
And Zach, we saw Lando have a bit of a moment through turn 2, which I described usually as a corner is flat out, especially on new tyres. Has he reported back what happened? Because it was hard to make out from where we stand.
Yeah, we need to make some aero adjustments. Looks like he doesn't have the car planted yet, but that's what free practice one's for. So all good. We're still dialing things in. Patrick's doing a great job as well.
Great. Thank you very much for the moment, Zach, and hopefully get your seat back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We did see a can rolling along the straight there, didn't we? Just a few moments ago.
We did, yeah. I think. This is getting worse for Behrman. But yeah, that's. I think they might. I wonder what they're going to do with that. I wonder if they have to quickly stop the session to go and recover that. But luckily, it has kind of rolled off the racing line.
Where that's rolled in from? The stands are quite far back around here. You can see there.
Would have been a good throw, wouldn't it? Right, running on board with Behrman. What is going on here? Gear shift sound okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering if it's power steering related. I'm just trying to see if he's fighting the wheel at all or not. But everything looks okay to me, and it sounds fine as well. So, yeah, a strange problem there down at Haas.
Well, at the moment, it's Lando Norris who's quickest. We think there's probably a bit more time in that lap as well. And as Zach said, they are looking at changing a bit around the setup, but they're 1:24.485 ahead of Max Verstappen. There indeed is the can, still on the track.
Still water. Yeah, still I see water. What you did there. Yeah.
I thought I was not that clever, but well done for picking it up.
See, I hold you in such high regard. You see it? Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with that, because yeah, you don't want a car hitting that at high speed like they are into turn 1. So Hirakawa makes his way down towards turn 6, and it's a corner where you have to pinch the exit to open up turn 7, get the car nice and straight, just to maximize your traction. And he's looking more and more at home in this car. This Toyota Gazoo sponsorship obviously drives for the Toyota Gazoo team in the World Endurance Championship.
And Haas will be Toyota Gazoo Haas Racing next year.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, a huge sponsorship deal there. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of this guy or many others that come through the Toyota Young Driver Program.
I should say Toyota Gazoo Racing Haas, sorry.
The Toyota Gazoo Racing, yes. Bit of a mouthful, but got there in the end. Oh,
no, they've told Ollie they've got to retire the car for the session. That is not good. He's going to be heading back to the pits and will miss the last 17 minutes or so of running.
Well, on the medium tyre, if you look at the screen on the left-hand side, he's only 2.5 tenths away. If that car's got a serious problem that they need to bench for the rest of the session with 15 minutes to go, then, well, what can it do when it's firing on all cylinders?
This is the race. I mean, this is the very last race of the season, obviously, but nobody's brought any upgrades here. So the upgrade list that we usually get ahead of the first practice session is blank. No updates for any of the teams. So everyone's working with cars they know, parts they know, and they're just trying to get the absolute maximum out of everything. And that's why we've got busy sessions. Busy session this morning, we'll have a busy session later on.
Well, it's like what Zach was saying, you know, the small twitch that Lando had through turn 2, and they say, yeah, we know this car, we know where we're running it in terms of ride heights and wing settings, and we just got to bleed a little bit of front downforce out of the car, rebalance it slightly, and they didn't sound too bothered. It's because you know these cars so well, and you've just got to tweak things to suit the circuit conditions, which is a bit of an unknown before you venture out there. So they didn't seem concerned.
Little water taxi for you out there with all the boats in the marina. That is jumping at night. It is so loud with all the music off the boats as you walk round there. Once the lights go down and the 4,700 lights light up at the track around here, the music is pumping out of those boats.
So George Russell through turn 1, and now 2 and 3 up and over the hill. Only 10 meters of elevation change around this track, and then you dip back down the hill towards turn 5, feed it into that one. It's a bit of a strange corner that it's got a very late apex. That's the point where you meet the inside of the corner on the white line, and then you drift back out onto the back straight.
We've had a note from the race control that track surface is slippery in sector 2.
Yeah, and we've seen it, haven't we?
Yeah. So this was the message Ollie Bearman got. So, okay, Leah, we'll have to retire the car for this session. You've been reporting the problems, but as you noted, Anne, it was a decent time on the medium tyres that he'd done at that point. Yeah,
just 2.5 tenths away from that of Norris's fastest lap time. So, yeah, that's it's a strange one. Riding on board with Ollie Bearman, I couldn't see anything wrong. I couldn't hear anything wrong. The gear shift sounded sweet. They sounded crisp. And the steering movement seemed okay. I wondered if it was a lack of power steering coming his way and he just couldn't fight it anymore. It could be that, but very strange. We'll get to the bottom of it after this session, I'm sure. But still, the car has the pace despite it not being perfect.
Yeah, looked all right, Ted. How does it look down in the garage right now?
Not all right. The car, it's broken.
It's broken,
as Lando would say. It's broken. Yeah, we're just getting confirmation from the Haas team exactly how broken and what is broken about it. But yeah, I mean, only missed 15 minutes session time. It's not a representative condition, so that's okay. Io Komatsu's just gone to reassure Ollie that will be all right. They'll get it fixed for the rest. But I guess you could say that in Haas's condition where they are in the Constructors' Championship, and that fight between Aston Martin 7 points ahead of them and Sauber about 5 behind, then they do need all the running they can get. Thank you to the Haas press department. They've just confirmed very expeditiously that the Bearman problem is sensor related. The car is okay, basically, but the team don't know fully what's going on because there's one sensor that's not giving correct information. So they've boxed him. They need to investigate, find that pesky sensor, fix it, and send him out in free practice too.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for the moment, Ted. We just saw a shot of Lando's garage there as well in the pit lane. He was talking about the Constructors' Championship. It's 92 points to Racing Bulls, 80 to Aston Martin, 73 to Haas, and 68 to Sauber right now. So all of those teams will be looking to get as much as they possibly can out of this weekend, because every place in that Constructors' Championship is worth an awful lot of money, millions of pounds, in fact.
So we look at Jack Crawford here in turn 12, 13, currently sits at the bottom of the timesheets, but he's only been on the hard tyre, so a bit of an unfair comparison. He's now on the mediums, hence the personal bests, first and second sectors. So come on, Jack, what have you got next in this corner? Pops up to P18, 1.4 seconds away. And then I look to, the next Aston Martin, who's, down in 20th as well. So you've got the 2 rookie drivers, of course, there for this FP1 session, which is always, it makes it difficult, doesn't it? Because you need a reference, and I think from a team's perspective as well, you want to see, if you really want to see how your rookie driver's getting on, you need a known quantity to to have as a reference, and that's what I'm missing here, and I feel like, well, that's what the team themselves will be missing. So
they missed the dinner last night as well, Alonso and Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg. 17 of the drivers went for dinner last night for their end of season dinner, and they were the 3 that were missing. But it seems like they do get on really well. Good bunch, all going out for dinner to celebrate at the end of the season. Would love to be a fly on the wall at that dinner. I think they were talking about the championship.
I'm sure you would.
They were ribbing the 3 protagonists and winding them up.
Luke Browning, 17th so far in the Williams, and now we jump back on board with Arthur Leclerc through that final corner. And actually, it's nice to see him back out here this year because he had very minimal running last year, didn't he? So it's nice that the team have given him that tryout again. A bit of a race going on here, look. Hulkenberg.
250th Grand Prix this weekend. He's celebrating sort of very special race helmet this weekend.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Hulkenberg's helmet design as he it does get past Colapinto's Alpine. It's great that we have these rear-facing onboard cameras now.
Especially in the race when you're watching someone closing in as well.
And it will look spectacular in the night here with sparks flying down that very straight we've just been down. It's always looks good.
And I always like seeing the driver's eyes through their helmet visors as well. You can usually see them in the night races, and it just looks incredible to see where they're looking and the concentration.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, in the dark here, we get to see the dashboards more clearly, and it all comes alive, reveals their secrets, Rachel. Usually they try and hide them, especially from the visor cam. They hide the displays. They run them intentionally, like with a filter over them, so we can't spy on other teams, more so can't spy on what modes they're using, what battery state of charge they've got, and where they're harvesting or not. So it's nice to see there's no way around it when it's dark. The lights shine through, so that's another good part of these night races, or dusk races, that we have here in Abu Dhabi. But Hulkenberg's quick, you know, Bortoletto's up there as well. The Sauber looking strong, 5th and 7th right now, and only 1.5 and 2.5 tenths away, respectively. It
is just FP1, but you're right. They have been up there and thereabouts. You were looking through the rookies, weren't you, for a piece you were doing on the performances of them this season. What conclusion did you come to?
Well, the rookies from this season, not the rookies
from this season, not the ones on track. Hold 1 second.
I don't know if something broken on the car.
Where are the main areas of issue?
Well, it's everywhere now.
It's weird.
It's broken everywhere.
Something's broken, and the issues are everywhere.
Well, maybe he's felt. Maybe he's feeling that the car is touching the ground too much. He's, a mechanical problem on the car that's causing the car to bottom out and jump around, and that can affect things sometimes only in the high-speed corners, but then he's starting to feel that everywhere. You can hear the car.
It doesn't sound great.
Yeah, at the high speed. I mean, that's normal in these ground effect cars. They do run them low, and you hear this bottoming out, but I mean, it looks fine from what I can see. Let's see how it reacts in turn 9 if we stick with him. He's really taking it easy through there, actually. He's doing race running right now, not really pushing the car through that corner.
Still out there on track, as you saw just then. He cannot win the Drivers' Championship unless he finishes on the podium this weekend. Just one of those scenarios we were telling you about. There is Zach Brown sitting there with Oscar Piastri in front of him, still on the pit wall.
I love it how Piastri's demoted Zach to be standing behind him rather than in his own chair. But we spoke about the McLaren's rear wing right at the beginning of the session, didn't we? With the Flovis as well. So Charles Leclerc been up to here on the approach to turn 5. Oh, yeah.
Just spun in Qatar as well.
It's this problem that Lewis found difficult with the car. I remember the spin he had in the final chicane and said, I've never had a car do that to me before. And yeah, it does seem to be a bit of an Achilles heel with the car, doesn't it, into those braking zones sometimes, not all the time. And it's maybe this handover to the hybrid system, the electronic braking.
I think Charles is doing some burnout for the fans.
Yeah, he's spun and done 5.
That's brotherly banter, that is.
Yeah.
He's just showing off the fans, doing some burnouts. Oh, dear.
Little dig at his bro. How dare he?
If you noticed on the
Sibling
graphic,
rivalry.
Charles is LEC, Leclerc, and Artur is LEL for Leclerc. So, finding alternative ways. Go on.
So I was going to say about the McLaren's rear wing. We saw the Flovis paint, didn't we? And it just a few theories on this one is been sent to me that maybe it's they're checking the stability of the rear wing, even if they've made minor tweaks which haven't been visible or declared, and maybe they're just combining that with a different beam wing and are checking the flow of the rear wing. So even though it's a wing that we've seen before, you would put the Flovis paint on if you've changed any other
Elements
item
around
it, because it changes therefore the flow of the wing. So that kind of makes sense.
We've got just under 6 minutes left, and I've been peering out the window, Ted, trying to see where you are, and I can't see you from my position right now. Where are you?
Can't you? Where is your position?
Well, we're kind of opposite, just down from the podium, so I'm peering right
Can you
down
see
to
the
the
Red Bull garage?
just about.
Can you see a man in a tabard waving for you outside the
Yes,
Red Bull?
I can
Anyway,
now.
I'm at Red Bull, just having a look at exactly what's going on as they're watching Max Verstappen on track. And, you know, on small points like this, championships can turn. Sorry to get dramatic about it, but we're looking for little moments, aren't we, in the weekend? And just thinking about Max, and obviously the speed is there over one lap. We've seen, all right, he's not fastest, but he's right up there, and it's early in the weekend. But we've seen how this Red Bull car has such a narrow window of goodness in its setup, haven't we? We saw it in Brazil, they got there eventually. We saw it in Qatar last race, where they got there eventually. And I'm just wondering if this is the start of that as well, whether it's going to need all of their engineering brain power to get this car sorted in time for the race, to give Max the best chance possible to challenge Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. So, yeah, nervous times. I mean, maybe it's better that they get to it this way. Maybe you'd be suspicious if he comes back at the end of FP1 and say, the car's great. You think, well, this is such an unrepresentative session, Rach, that you don't want to hear that maybe from your driver. Maybe, Anthony, you've got something on that. But, yeah, a bit of work still to do at Red Bull Racing.
Thanks, Ted.
If there's any session in the year, maybe bar FP1 in Singapore, where you just, or Monaco, where you go, well, the track's going to change so much anyway. This is a track, and this is a session where you can kind of discount how the car feels, because it will feel very different in FP2, even if you didn't touch your car.
It will feel different.
Of course they are going to, because it's always tempting to touch the car and make changes based on what you've seen from that session previous. So, but it's going to feel very different under all of them in FP2 when the track temperatures are cooler, when the sun goes down, and suddenly a balance that seemed perhaps a bit more on the nose, a bit more edgy to drive, will start to come good. And sometimes a bit of patience between a practice session 1 and 2 like this that we're going through this weekend, it comes good. It goes in your favour, just being a bit patient with the car setup. If you try chasing the track too much, you can often get a bit lost. But then it's not a sprint weekend. They've got the luxury tonight after FP2 to do the homework on the simulation, the driver sim, the DIL, as they call it, the driver in loop simulation. And the data you get back from that overnight is we've seen Red Bull respond so well to that. And that they were missing that in Qatar, being a sprint weekend.
Yes, didn't have the chance to get it. But they did turn it around. I mean, you were saying they're chasing the track there. You mean basically trying to adapt to the conditions as they progress throughout this, rather than looking at the bigger picture?
Exactly, like making changes through the session, making changes after the session before FP2, and suddenly you go out in FP2 and the car's got way too much understeer. You turn into the corner and the front just doesn't respond, and suddenly you're putting too much load through or slip through the front tyres, and it all goes against you. So, and then you end up going back on those changes you've made. So there's what you usually find in F1 these days is that they've got a plan of things they are going to run through, changes that they are going to make to the car. And you have a whole, it's almost like a menu of setup items that you will check, so menu A and menu B, and you'll just, it's not like, oh, we've found this with the car, the driver's reporting this, we'll change the front roll bar, for example. You feel less of that, you see less of that these days. It's more about, okay, it's doing what we expected with menu A, so we'll do menu B because it's kind of all preset.
Which is why
we're incredibly complicated cars to set up. Even some of the best engineers in the world in other disciplines, other categories of motorsport, wouldn't understand what these cars do and what the requirements are to set these cars up. I remember Fernando Alonso was asked a question about some intricate setup details, and he said, you wouldn't understand it even if I explained it to you. That's what these cars are like, and he's absolutely spot on.
But as you were saying, when you've got these plans for their sessions, if the car goes into the wall, someone has a spin, someone has a crash, there's so much information that they don't gather for the rest of the weekend. It's
true. It doesn't confirm what you might have predicted from your menu of setup for this. What are you pointing at?
I'm looking at all the information that they get there in front of them. We have a...
Well, it's more GP's laptop.
Well, GP's laptop is fantastic if you see that there at that screen. But all the information they have up there on those walls, I mean, we deal with, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screens in here, and that's a lot to look at. But all that information they've got in front of them there is quite incredible. But every single bit of it is a tiny bit of information or telemetry or data telling them about the car and about the track.
So Kimi Antonelli reporting that he's bouncing in high speed, so that's an unwanted byproduct of running the car low. But running the car low gives you more downforce, as we know with these ground effects cars. The lower you can, a bit like a vacuum cleaner, the closer you get it to the ground, the more suction it gets.
Cleaner carpet.
But if you go too low, it stalls.
Yes.
And it doesn't suck anything up, does it? Anyway, so it's a good analogy for how these cars work. But over a rough surface, they hit the ground badly, and that gives the driver a really uncomfortable feel. But it's necessary to have to run the car that low. Like vacuuming over cobbles. Exactly, yeah. You want it nice and low, but it's going to be a rough, bumpy ride. But, these cars, what goes on in terms of setting these cars up is what they call through corner balance. Which is? So like here, so you're going through the corners. It's a journey through the corner. As you turn into it, the car does one thing. You get into the middle, it does another. And on the exit, it does something else. And it's choosing how your car behaves in a slow-speed corner and that through-corner balance, and how it is in a high-speed corner and the high-speed through-corner balance. And you can't have your cake and eat it. That's what I wanted to ask you. You can't have both. So you have to find somewhere that you can deal with a compromise. Exactly.
We are so slow, huh? Yes, 29.7 are the others, and we're on 30.0.
The car feels just like it has zero grip. It's unbelievable. I really don't get it.
I mean, he's talking about their race pace, isn't he? They're talking about their long run pace, because obviously he's third on the time screens right now on a single lap.
And look how lost he is. He's even putting his hands on top of the steering wheel. He's got no answer for it. And that's what we saw in Qatar as well. It's like they have taken a wrong path in their decisions on how to run the car, it seems, because it's not like everyone's bought upgrades in these last couple of races this season. And now they're falling behind. This is through just, I don't understand where their pace has gone.
Wrong turns. Ooh.
Lando all crossed up in turn 1, and this is on a race run on the medium tyre, of course. The temperature of the track, by the way, has dropped 1 degree since I mentioned it earlier on already. So it's coming. FP2 will have a very different feel for the drivers.
Don't think that was him putting his head to his brow there. He was just touching his visor, or putting his visor down. Max Verstappen. Oh, and Oscar Piastri would much rather be in the car right now as he's sitting on the pit wall.
Like a sleepy panda. Yeah, we caught you, didn't we?
We got you. You'll be back in it soon enough, Oscar. I don't blame you. You must be itching to get back in the car this weekend and get back out on track, as we see the Mercedes there as well, who Kimi Antonelli, 4th quickest today, and just ahead of his teammate George Russell, in fact, as well. So a real battle going on for them as well in the Drivers' Championship, which is fantastic. He's really turned it around, as you mentioned, and since that sort of, I think the sit down with the team in Monza, it really helped him and it worked for him, he said. So there you go. Those are the times for the 2 Mercedes drivers. What were you going to say?
Well, just looking at the lap times there, the ultimate lap time of the Ferrari doesn't look too bad in 3rd place. Only a 10th away. it looks good, but that's Leclerc saying in race pace, we are nowhere. So, I mean, it's clearly working its tyres too hard, therefore. But the cooler conditions will help them.
Ryo Hayakawa, the quickest of the juniors or the rookies out there in the Haas with a 1:24.934. Decent showing for him. They're going to do some practice starts on the grid now.
Yeah, obviously you've got the tunnel section here, and it feeds in on the other side of the track. So this is your only opportunity post-session and it's another thing that poor old Behrman and Haas will miss out on. Their start this weekend could be critical for them.
Which has got the better grip? Which side of the track here?
Well, usually you'd say it's more the racing line, so the outside on the left-hand side, but you start to veer over to the right and drive sort of in the middle of the grid spaces here. So I would say it's kind of even on this track.
Looks resplendent right now, but the sun will set very shortly here in Abu Dhabi ahead of the second practice session. Very important second practice session. Lando Norris, though, was quickest in first practice with a 1:24.485 ahead of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Then comes Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes. Nico Hülkenberg in the Saubers, as we were mentioning, good pace from them on a single lap. George Russell in the other Mercedes ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto in the other Sauber. Ollie Behrman had that issue in the car stop with about 16 minutes to go, but he was 8th quickest ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Williams, reporting some sort of brake problem in the car. And Franco Colapinto 10th fastest. Then came Ryo Hayakawa. Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls. He will be in the Red Bull seat next year, of course. Paul Aron in the Alpine. Pat O'Ward in the McLaren. Arvid Lindblad was in the other Red Bull instead of Yuki Tsunoda. He'll be back for FP2. Arthur Leclerc, Charles' younger brother, took over Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari, but he'll hand it back. Ayubu Iwasa, Luke Browning, Jack Crawford and Kian Shields complete the lineup for that first practice session. We'll be back for second practice a little later.